Good afternoon, traders and investors. It's Will back with another one. Well, guys, it does seem that dips are still for buying. So the bears were unable to actually follow through with the good momentum that they had Friday and early yesterday. And even this morning seems to be a pattern here, guys, to where when we dip in the morning, the dips are being bought hard and we tend to recover late afternoon. That's been the case pretty much for the past week. So without further ado, guys, keep in mind, we got CPI tomorrow, and that's kind of what I wanted to start off with, right? So let's take a quick look at CPI right here. CPI numbers for tomorrow should be bullish, right? So month over month here, we're looking for a bit higher as compared to last month. And now keep in mind, guys, we're comparing pretty much on a year over year basis as well, right? So year over year is supposed to be a good beat, right? So 3.1 instead of 4. On the month over month, it's normal that it's a bit higher, especially coming into the summer months, but that is to be expected, largely priced in as well into these numbers. And also, as you see here, the X food and energy is also supposed to come in lower month over month, right? So decent numbers for CPI. I've been calling that since pretty much the last 2 weeks, right? We know that these CPI numbers are going to be quite bullish. And this is the type of market, guys, whereby if we don't get some actual bad news and some bad surprises, there is no reason for the market to turn away and turn to the downside, right? So keeping that in mind, guys, I also want to look at the heat map, right? When you see days like this, even though today was not a very big day in terms of percentage gains, we can see that it was very healthy. Broad market gains. That is what you want to see if you want to confirm here that the bull market is still alive and well. So very happy that the bulls were able to put in a day like this, especially after somewhat of a negative morning that we had yesterday and today, and we did not lose some of our major moving averages on the charts. So as you can see, not much was down today. Healthcare pretty much was the one that wasn't down, that wasn't up the most. They were all green. All throughout the day, everything was green. Towards the end of the day, actually throughout the most of the day, some things were red, right? Consumer defensives and healthcare were struggling a bit, but by the end of the day, they were green. So very good, very healthy market, guys. I like this market, even though we have moved a lot since the beginning of the year. There is currently no red flags. Just keep that in mind. In my opinion, this market will only be going down if we do get some surprise bad news to the downside. And my catalyst for that may be next month's inflation numbers, okay? Especially if we can't get core down and people keep spending money throughout the summer. So with all that being said, let me just show you guys the portfolio first. I think you guys maybe like it when I do it better at the beginning of the video. So with that being said, we're coming in here. We are we're doing very well on the year, guys. Can't complain, right? Over 58.5% on the year compared to the NASDAQ, which is only up around 32. When we compare it to SPY, we're still severely outperforming SPY at this point, right? SPY only up about 15%. We're almost up 60. So we're pretty much 4x SPY just running this options wheel strategy. If you haven't seen my options wheel video, just scroll through the channel. You'll find a video on how I do my options wheel. So without further ado, let's get into the charts. We'll go over it quickly because these setups play out exactly as expected. Higher lows have now been set, okay? Line in the sand level for me now moves up from here to here. 437.66 is going to be the level to watch on SPY to the downside. We were just looking for a higher low. Keep in mind, the bears had an opportunity here Friday and yesterday to actually break towards the downside, but they just could not get it done, right? So that was all that the bears were able to do. The next area of resistance is obviously our level right up here at 444. And our big level of resistance is obviously going to be the psychological 450 way up here. But as of now, very healthy, right? We're also, not very overbought on any of our large time frames here like we were back early in June. So market very healthy. And if this rotation continues, would not be surprised, continue to push to the upside. Tech doing a good job of recovering yesterday. Yesterday, you guys remember, all of big tech was down, but most of the rest of tech was actually up. So now at this point, higher low has been set. Line in the sand level for me now becomes 364. And obviously the resistance is well up here at the 372 level. We're going to work with this guy first. And if you guys look, if we do break that to the upside, we're getting to all-time high areas. There's not much resistance in this area right here, right? Anything before 3 382, 385-ish, right? So if we crack this high here, 372, expect the market to be able to grind higher. I'm not expecting massive moves to the upside, but we can definitely grind higher, no problem at all. The bears were not able to lose our 12 EMA, guys. And if we cannot lose the 12 EMA, I've said this so many times in the past, you are just going to set higher lows and you're going to set up the bulls with some bull flags to potentially move higher. Financials, amazing job. Finally, first time in 3 months at this point that we've cracked my level. 34 was the area to watch. We finally cracked it. At this point, the daily uptrend is well in motion, right? So line in the sand level is 33.30, but keep in mind, this whole area now becomes a juicy, juicy support level to play off of. So I will now that we've broken it, looking to be writing some puts in the 33 level without being nervous to do so. I think that the momentum is now engaged. We will see what happens, obviously, on Friday with the major financial names coming out with earnings. In my opinion, the earnings should be quite good because the consumer does remain strong. All right, so after that, on the weekly, we're really looking up, guys, to the 36 area. There's not much, there's not much price action in this area to kind of hold back, right? This was the banking crisis drop. So the bears did not do a good job of setting a lot of resistance points, right? So when we crack through this major level right here, if the market does continue to do well and financials report well, we could get further moves to the upside quite easily. So good job with our financial bulls here. Healthcare doing a whole lot of nothing. The line in the sand level, guys, for me, we really don't want to lose this. If we do lose this, we really set up a daily downtrend in motion, which would bring us to the bottom end of our range here. Keep in mind, healthcare really doing a bunch of nothing, right? Until it breaks this tightening range one way or another. This looks like exactly like Costco did. I keep bringing this chart up. Exactly like Costco, tightening range. And when the ranges break, they do tend to break one way. And then especially if it's on a longer time frame, guys, it's very tough for them to look back, right? So I have a bullish lean on this. If we do crack 132.65, 133-ish, I do think that we are now heading to all-time highs if that happens. But the bulls need to really put a stop to this lower area here and need to set up a new recovery, get above your moving average trio right here, all three of them, right? So the yellow is the 12, the orange is the 26, and the green right here is the 200. So need to get back over this and set a new daily uptrend. IWM Russell, very good outperformance. Once again, I'll go to my growth list, okay? You will see that the stocks that perform the best today are, with the exception of Activision, right? A lot of small cap stocks. A lot of stocks that were beaten down excessively, right? Like look at Etsy, right? Still down, never really came back, never really benefited from this whole tech rally, right? Still down 70%. Affirm, still down, right? 90%, right? So many of these stocks. Lemonade was a big play back in 2020. They made big promises, weren't able to fulfill on the cash flow, still down 90%. That's why you're seeing some of these short squeezes happen. Trade Desk, okay, that's nothing. EXPI, right? EXPI still down. That's another real estate broker play. Redfin, right? Redfin with some massive outperformance, still down 84% off the all-time highs, even with a near 25% day. So these small caps and mid caps are now taking over. They have been our lead bulls now for a few days, and it definitely shows in the percentage gains here, right? So doing a very good job. We're pushing up into our resistance area. If we clear this, guys, 190, right? We are heading right up into this zone here, all the way up to pretty much 200, right? So this is very nice. I like it. The bulls have now set a daily uptrend in motion. It confirms as well our weekly uptrend push. So all of our longer time frames are in favor of the bulls now. Just need to get a little bit over here. If we come back and sit on it, I would not mind writing puts at all in the 186 area. I will be buying those dips aggressively. Dow Jones here. Dow Jones doing a great job of recovering the past few days, guys. We still have a few names in the Dow Jones. Don't get me wrong. Still have a few names such as Estee Lauder, such as Dollar General, right? These are just a few of the names that have sold off quite large. We still have, I don't think Charles Schwab is in it, but this is just one play, solid play, financial especially, right? Still down 40% off all-time highs. Nike, even though it's had some decent days recently, still down 40% off your all-time highs. So there is still some value names, guys, that are on the table to be purchased, okay? Especially if they're companies that you believe in their long-term performance, which you should. If you look at these charts long-term, guys, I mean, I'm going to go over them quickly. Nike, look, right? You can't go wrong with these stocks. These are monster players in their respective industries, right? So with that in mind, the Dow Jones could definitely be due for a touch more upside here. If you look at the monthly pattern as well, really tight range. I do have a bullish bias on this. I do think that we are going to break my neckline here, 34,500. Inverse head and shoulders, even though this area is kind of messy, it is still playing out. If you were to put this on a 2-week chart, it would look a lot cleaner, right? So this pattern is still alive. As long as we don't flush down here, pattern's still alive. And I do think we are going to crack this neckline here, especially if we get some good earnings. A lot of our value names and financials are coming up tail end of this week and early next week. So I do believe that that will set that in motion for a potential move like this on the weekly. On the daily, of course, line in the sand level 33,600. And you got your resistance here, which is pretty much my neckline. So still some good bargains on the table here, guys. Bitcoin doing absolutely nothing. Don't want to spend too much time on this chart at all. Really need to watch this support area here. I will extend it. It is still valid, right? So consolidation. Only this week, the weekly time frame is the one to watch pretty much. The daily is just a very messy wide range, right? So on the weekly, still technically a bear flag. I'm looking for the rest of the markets here to carry crypto to the upside. So far, no red flags, but also no crypto specific events that's giving it momentum to really crack to the upside and put in some of the days that Bitcoin's known to do sometimes. You know, we need some of these 4 or 5% day candles to really smash through this area and move up to the further price targets. Moving into Apple, loss of the 12 EMA yesterday and this morning wasn't looking very good. Recovery towards the end of the day, guys, right? This is 2 days in a row now. Recovery towards the end of the day. QQQ was exactly similar to this. Recovery towards the end of the day. Yesterday and today, right? We're now back above some of our moving averages on the shorter time frames. Apple still is a bit down, right? So what is Apple trying to do right now? We're trying to set the daily high or low. Anything above 183 will do it, as we're staying really tight with this, guys. We do open up the possibility here of a daily downtrend, but if the rest of the market keeps putting in broad support like this, I'd be very surprised if Apple starts a daily downtrend. It is one of the more stable stocks out there. So without some market negative news or Apple specific negative news, going to be very hard to really bring down Apple in a significant fashion, right? So we're just still looking for a daily high or low, anything above 183, right? The bulls are looking decent there, even on the weekly, right? We're holding this up. The 12 EMA isn't too far away. It's exactly where our line in the sand level is, right? This 183, like if we put it out on the weekly, it's exactly lining up with your moving average area, right? So with that being said, Apple is looking decent. The bulls seem to be buying the dip, even though we've lost the 12 EMA. But just keep in mind, there is always the possibility for this. But I would not be surprised if the Apple bulls just grind back all the way to their all-time highs. Amazon, good job of recovery, guys. They did not lose the level. Like I was saying yesterday, this potential level here was acting as resistance. What did we do first thing? Boom, gap up, smashed right through it, and we're back into pretty much bullish territory. They saved it, right? Saved it, closed slightly above the 12 EMA here. Let me make this 12 EMA. Can I make it a bit brighter here? Let me see here. Yeah, there you go. So made this a bit brighter here. So you can see we closed slightly above it here. Amazon consolidating. It was really potentially setting up here for the daily downtrend, but the bulls are playing very good defense. The green box area, if ever we do lose this, if CPI surprises to the downside or something and big tech continues to roll over, this green box right here, 118 all the way down to 114 is my target area on Amazon. I showed you guys yesterday, right? I do have puts at the 123 area, okay, for this Friday. I'd be surprised at this point, unless CPI really puts in a really negative number here. I'd be very surprised if I get a sign, but if I get a sign, that would be fine. Only have one contract on the table, and I would definitely be averaging in for much more down there, right? So now let's move into Google. Google holding up well, same thing, right? Same thing. We almost lost our last line of support here. The bulls were able to close that breach today, and now what we're trying to do is we're trying to slightly recover here on the 4 hour, right? What do we get down to? We got down to hourly oversold, guys. If you're ever intraday wondering when is a good area to write puts, where I'm writing my puts is when we get close to 1 hour oversold, okay? Because usually, especially on these names, you do get a bounce. So keeping that in mind, Google was due for a slight bounce. We're currently trying to reset the hourly uptrend, right? When the hourly uptrend confirms, so once we break 118.22, bulls regain the hourly and you can look for higher. But as of now, this is a daily downtrend. So you need the bulls to absolutely reverse this, get back above your moving averages right here. But as long as they don't lose the line in the sand, right, which is a very, very important level, I'm not too concerned for it. This is still, as we've been saying, a weekly bull flag, doing a good job of holding that flag for potential further gains to the upside. Levels for me on Google that I'm looking for, the closest we get to 110, anywhere between 110 and 104. Would be surprised if we get all the way down to 104. As close to 110 as possible. The VIX isn't high, so the premium isn't too juicy, but even the 115s, 114s at these levels are looking fairly good. So those are the levels that I'm targeting when I'm looking for writing Google options in this area. Decent little area to buy from, especially considering we're about 9% off of our 52-week highs. So not that bad for, not that bad for Google, but I do expect a recovery on Google. Meta, great job by Meta Bulls, played a lot of defense, right? Especially yesterday and today. Yesterday, we were crashing down into the 12 EMA, held it beautifully. Meta is the perfect 12 EMA chart, guys. If we don't lose this 12 EMA, the bulls remain in full control, almost at $300. The gap fill all the way to 315. I'll show it once again. Gap fill here needs to be filled here all the way up to 315. And they could just do it in this streamlined grind mode push here, right? Nothing is overbought on the higher time frames. The weekly, actually, I take that back, sorry. The weekly is definitely overbought, but on the daily, we still have room to actually pop, right? Just the weekly can stay overbought for a while on Meta. We saw this back in 2017, saw it back in 2014 as well. So this weekly chart can stay overbought for quite some time. And even if we just do a slight pullback for a few weeks, right, just going sideways, this RSI will come down. So keep that in mind, guys. It doesn't necessarily have to crash to the downside. As of now, Meta Bulls, full control at this point, right? 12 EMA is going to be my target for a further downside. Really going to have to do something like this if you want to expect that. Microsoft did a great job today as well, just like Apple, of kind of really bottoming out, right? And kind of trying to reverse those lower time frames. 1 hour hit oversold. And what do the bulls do right here? They're trying now to reverse the hourly uptrend, right? So now we've got a nice little hourly push going here. What they really need to do here is do something like this and really reverse the hourly trend in their favor. So Microsoft bulls, very good defense. They're playing defense against this larger head and shoulders pattern, right? But on the weekly, we've always really been looking just for a weekly higher low, right? And it's coming right up against your 12 EMA on the weekly. So great job by Microsoft. Line in the sand level for me, 323, right? This 323 area, guys, really crucial. My green box should not be all the way down there. As a matter of fact, it should be right here, okay? So my target area for Microsoft, pretty much 310, right? But it's tough to get premium all the way down there because Microsoft usually doesn't move that much on a daily basis. You really need a big red day to be able to potentially write for some premium down there. But even the other day, when it was at the lows, right, 328, the best I could get was 322 for about 0.6% for the week, which was Monday. So for the full week. So it wasn't that juicy yet. That's also due to the low VIX and the nature of Microsoft being a low intrinsic value. So I mean, low implied volatility, low IV stock, right? So line in the sand level is that for me. The bulls at this point are just going to be looking to recapture this daily uptrend. So keep that in mind, guys. If CPI is bullish tomorrow, you could see the bulls pop right back up. And it's as if these negative 2 days didn't happen. Bought the dip hard. NVIDIA, still trapped. NVIDIA is still trapped between our 404 key level and our all-time high of 440. Whichever breaks first, there could be some very decent follow through on either side, right? So really tightening range. Very ugly pattern in my opinion, right? We tried for the daily uptrend, didn't do it. Now we're just in a tightening range. It's NVIDIA though. So keep in mind, the bullish velocity behind this stock can sometimes get ridiculous. All of this sideways, what did it do? It cooled down excuse me, it cooled down your daily RSI, right? So it has been very, very good. Weekly, not so much. Even with 4 or 5 weeks of pretty much sideways, we're still massively overbought on the RSI on the weekly, right? But what is NVIDIA doing? It's looking like it really wants to do kind of like a sideways bull flag. So on the weekly, it's looking like a bull flag. On the daily, tightening range. Keep an eye out for the break, grinding the 12 EMA. Keep an eye, guys. This level 404, if we break it to the downside, it kind of negates all the pretty much bullish patterns. It could turn into pretty much a weekly downtrend momentum at that time, right? NVIDIA, very tough play for me to buy up here, guys. I really can't buy this stock up here. It makes no sense for me personally in terms of a risk to reward. In terms of if you're looking out for the next 5-10 years and you don't have any, it may be a play. In that case, I would maybe be more interested with buying the actual whole ETF, even though the ETF is also somewhat close to all-time highs. It doesn't have that blow-off top mechanism, and there's obviously some other decent plays like AMD. So AMD too, AMD doing a great job, guys. Bulls playing defense. I do have a contract here at 107. Sweet spot though, 104 all the way down to slightly below 100, right? But playing some very good defense on the weekly with the weekly 12 EMA. That's why I love this 12 EMA, guys. Look how much they respect it in either direction, right? Even when we were crashing, 12 EMA holds up pretty well, except for when we're gonna get massive pops, really holds up pretty well as kind of like a magnet. Now we've kind of been glued to it. So what are bulls trying to do? Bulls really need to bulls need to hold 107, right? Need to hold 107 to potentially reset the daily uptrend in motion. If we were to, if today's low was actually going to be the low, then that would actually, if we start moving back up, that would be your higher low, right? So we still have a bit of space, not looking too healthy. It could always tighten, make a tightening range. What you don't want to see is flush of 107, which is why I say it's a crucial level, because if that does happen, it is now a weekly downtrend. With a weekly downtrend, it usually takes a while to reverse, and that's when you're kind of looking for your monthly consolidation down into this area. That's why I'm targeting this range on AMD, right? So just keep all of that in mind. Tesla, very good job by the Tesla bulls here of playing solid defense. Once again, big surprise with the 12 EMA, guys. You must be sick of hearing me repeating this indicator, but maybe if I repeat it long enough, you guys will actually watch it and add it to your trading style. That's why I never get nervous on these dips, right? I'm always confident to write my options. If the bears are not capitalizing, guys, off of these breaks of this 12 EMA and the bulls just recapturing them right away, I mean, you can't really be bearish, right? They cannot even take our first moving average and reverse the daily trend, right? 241, anything above 241 is going to be your higher low. Looks like they kind of want to set it in this area, right? So my 257s, I have 257 puts, which are right down here for the week. I think I should be fairly safe. Got some decent premium on them, nothing fancy. I was expecting potentially a further drop, and then I would have averaged in potentially even into the 240s with some heavier contracts, really get that average cost down and pretty much come out a winner at the end of the week, which is pretty much most of my weeks, right? Even if I get assigned something, I'm usually able to get out of it on covered calls within the next 1 to 2 to 3 weeks, potentially rolling them if they're not, if they come into profit right away. So Tesla, very healthy chart. Bulls are in full control. Look for the potential daily higher low being set and push back up into the 300 level. No real red flags on Tesla at all. That would be your daily higher low. And it's also looking for the weekly higher low too. So two things at once, right? PayPal, told you guys, right? I've been talking about PayPal since all the way down here, right? We were back at, this is absolutely ridiculous. We're still ridiculous. We're, 2017 levels. That's 6 years ago, guys. And they've doubled the revenue. And then obviously they have a lot more customers and their business has just grown as a whole. So it's a bit ridiculous that they're the same stock price as they were. We're now starting to fill the gap. So the gap all the way up here to 75, right? Daily uptrend now confirmed. Broke out of this resistance area. Like I said yesterday, need to confirm it with another push up today. We did exactly that. Bulls in full control here of the daily time frame. Look for us to keep pushing up into this gap area, guys. As you know, I have a bunch of shares. I have about 800 shares and 1 leap call, right? So total roughly around 900 shares worth of exposure. So I put my money where my mouth is on PayPal, right? Big position in PayPal. Happy with the way it played out. I'd actually started buying PayPal in the 70s. So I only had really about 250 shares that I was able to buy in the lower 60 area. So it's not as if my entire average cost is down here, guys. Don't get it twisted. My average cost in my long-term share account is roughly about $70.50. So I just became profitable today on those after averaging more. And obviously the only one position that I bought down here was my leap call. So pretty happy with that. I will let that ride because obviously it expires in 2024. So really have no rush for that. And it gives me some good leverage. So with that being said, good daily chart. And on the weekly, also weekly uptrend is now confirmed, especially if the week closes like this, right? So if we take it all back, it could always be a possibility that the bears could reverse it, but we've already set the high, guys. This is now a weekly confirmed uptrend at this point, right? So very good job. Palantir bulls are monsters, right? Big follow through today, even though we did kind of close as an indecision candle in the middle right here, right? But made a new high today compared to yesterday's high, right? All the way back at our previous resistance level. 17, guys, is going to be the area to break. So nice daily uptrend is set in motion. Your weekly higher low is set. I'm looking for the bulls to continue on this. I hope you were able to pick up at least some Palantir shares. Back down when I was advising anything in the 13s to 12s was a good purchase area. I personally did not add myself because most of my shares were bought down in the lower $8 to $9 area here. I also was only able to write a couple contracts for the few days that we were in this range. Nothing significant in terms of premium. So, very good performance here by the bulls. 12 EMA is going to be your line here, right? 12 EMA, just watch that. If bears aren't able to capture it, they're going nowhere. 1465 is your new daily higher low. I'm really looking for bulls to smash this, especially if our growth stocks keep putting in massive days. So with that being said, check in on the positions here. What happened with the positions today? AMD still, AMD, I could have closed it yesterday. In hindsight, I actually should have closed it yesterday. Even this morning, they were about 60%. Could have closed it and optimized. Usually I like doing that. I like to close something. Let's say if you have, right? It's like you have 100% left of the premium for the week. On Tuesday, if you've already captured 60% of it, it doesn't make sense to hold the other 40% for 4 days. You may as well take that same $10,700 exposure and put it on something else. Now, I usually do that when the contract size is larger. I didn't really feel the need to do it here for like $60. Obviously, I could if I really wanted to optimize properly. In hindsight, that's a mistake on my part. I probably should have, but I went a bit light this week. It is a CPI week, right? So keep that in mind. So I really wanted to wait, especially when I saw this morning at the open that some things were opening more red than others. AMD was down about 3.5% at one point. So I wanted to wait, especially with CPI, to see what was going to happen and see if I could average down, because I actually kind of want these shares. So I was kind of torn, but slight mistake from me. I could have literally closed them at 20 cents and resold them today at around 70 cents. So I could have pocketed, an extra, 50, 70 bucks. No biggie. It's okay. I'm still happy with my weekly performance. So far, so good. Amazon, they're almost, almost coming worthless now. The 123s for Friday. Enphase, this is just a rolled call. I'll let them get called away, most likely. I checked the premium. I'd only get about $1.10 for rolling them to next Friday at these prices. So I'll make a decision here towards the tail end of the week. Gonna wait till after tomorrow's CPI. But got $2.10, so 210 bucks for rolling these from last week for these shares. Nike coming back up. It's now over my 107 call strike. So I'll probably roll these on Friday to next Friday just to capture a bit more premium. You can see that my assigned price was actually 108. So I wrote them under. I didn't think it was going to have such a good week, even though I'm bullish on Nike. I didn't think they were going to come up this fast. So that's also slight mistake from me, but really no harm, no foul. Rolling them next week, I'll be able to recapture the slight $20 difference. $20 difference that I'm missing, right? So really light, guys. I've been going really light the past couple of weeks, as a matter of fact. The week, 2 weeks ago, I think I made $1,150. Last week, I made just under $1,000, I think $960. And this week, I will try to make my $1,000 per week minimum. But with so many stocks going up, especially in the long share portfolio, really have no pressure to trade, guys, right? I'm just waiting for things to come to my levels. I don't want to chase things. Then keep that in mind. It's very important, right? and the Tesla puts here. Now Tesla still chilling at about $267, so my 257s do appear to be safe, and they're currently trading at 85 cents, right? And I put them pretty much at 118. In my other long-term share account, I did write them around 156. So now, you know, the ones in my long share account are about half off from what I wrote them. So that's a pretty decent, you know, pretty decent gains overall on Tesla this week. Not too many contracts, fairly light week. After CPI tomorrow, though, I will load up with the rest of my buying power with whatever I can find, okay? Because there are still some opportunities out there. So with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed another video here. Once again, it was Will. If you liked it, consider liking, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. Really, really, really appreciate it, guys. You guys are the best. Happy trading. Keep an eye out for the CPI numbers tomorrow and market moves. But as of now, bulls still appear to be in full control. So I love you guys. Happy trading. Best of luck with everything. And I hope you're enjoying your summer. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.